So today marks the 13th anniversary of 9/11, and every year around this time, especially in the morning, um, at this same time, about 13 years ago, we all experienced a moment in American history we had never experienced before, and we can be surprised by what we see. And remember on the news and things like that. But what really sticks out to me are the stories and the narratives of amazing people surviving that day, um, of lives that were transformed by that day. Um, if you've never heard Gabrielle Lane Peters tell her story, it's absolutely amazing and very heartfelt, and it gives you chill bumps. It's definitely worth hearing. But I think we memorialize events like that through our own stories as well. And so I thought I'd share mine. So I was driving. I was actually working in Nashville at the time. I was driving to the office, and I was getting off on an exit, and heard on NPR that the first plane had hit the towers. And by the time I got to the office about 15 minutes later, the second plane had hit. And of course, thinking back on it, the first one, just like everyone else, probably thought there was a terrible accident. And then clearly with the second one, it was very clear that it was something much more grave than that. And so I worked for the government. They actually shut down our office and sent everybody home. And my wife worked at Home Depot, and they would not let her go. And I called her on the way home, and I said, "No, you're going to leave. We're going to go and just take this day in." And we went out to a park, and we laid under a blue sky, a bright blue sky with not a cloud in the sky and not an airplane in the sky. It was the first time in my life that I ever remember looking up and not seeing a plane fly overhead. And there was something magical about that day, not necessarily in the most positive light, but a deep human moment of reflection, where you realize that everything that you take for granted has just been challenged. And in retrospect, I think there's a lot of things I expected to change in the country and in the world that didn't. I think there are a lot of things that I didn't expect to change that did. But today I just I remember 9/11, and I remember the people whose lives were forever changed by it. And then I remember how this country was changed, and I remember how our world is different in some ways. And so I encourage you to think about it. Remember your story. Tell your story today. Tell it to someone. Tell it online.